crew, and welcome back to Trenches. I'm your host, Milan. On this show, we have unfiltered conversations with entrepreneurs in the messy middle. We dig into the experiments, defining decisions, disasters, pivots, and breakthroughs that shaped their companies long before the world was watching. Before we get into it, if you like this episode, which I know you will, please take a moment and like, subscribe, and share this episode to your group chat. Hey crew, it's Milan, your host and founder friend. Today is our first solo episode. How crazy is that? I am certainly excited to yap on the mic today and dig into today's topic, how to determine your next step. While I was planning this episode, I kept procrastinating. I knew I didn't have a guest lined up this week, and I've known Thursday was coming up, but I didn't want to face it. So 2 things I've never done in my life before starting this podcast. 1, plan and post long-form content. If anything, the only content I've tried to plan is how to make my TikTok shorter every single time without fail. And the second one was sticking to a weekly routine. Genuinely, working a 9 to 5 or waiting 7 days for a package to arrive feels like forever. But when I tell you Thursday is coming faster than lightning, I cannot comprehend how fast this shows up on my calendar. It's actually mind-blowing. Shout out to the podcasters, YouTubers, and long-form content creators who's been gracing my screen for years without fail. We should never get mad at them in the comments, you guys. Until starting this podcast, I had no rhythm in my week, no pillars that happened on a weekly basis. Yes, I had routines and a checklist of wellness rituals, and I committed to posting on TikTok daily, but nothing that had its own heartbeat that required so much energy, planning, and effort like building this podcast. And today, yes, today, only 3 episodes in, I almost didn't record. I almost said, well, it's a new podcast, not like anyone has their alarm set or to watch or listen on time. No one's going to be disappointed if I miss an episode. But the stats are actually different. The podcast industry reports that 90% of podcasts don't make it past 3 episodes, and less than 10% make it past 10. Isn't that crazy? Considering that it feels like every influencer, content creator, and industry professional has a podcast. But actually, no, not that many people do, and certainly even fewer continue. So as I contemplated getting into full glam on this rainy day and making every excuse in the book not to record, I said to myself, so what if people don't have their alarms on? So what if I'm a new podcast with only 3 episodes? I'm standing exactly where 90% of podcasters stopped. And I asked myself, do you want to be part of the 90%, the 10% who make it past 10 episodes, or a part of the 1% who can do it consistently for a year? Well, when you've determined your next step that you're going to be part of the 1%, well, at least I hope you have, because I know that that's what I'm after. So here's how we determine our next steps. Step 1 is we need to audit what we've been curious about lately. Look at your past month of search history, the random questions that you've asked ChatGPT or Claude, the content you've liked, favorited, or shared. Look at the time of the year. Right now, it's the beginning of March. And personally, I've been seeing a lot of refreshing content around starting your new year now. And that January and February, those were just a test run, a concept I have not heard in the past few years. So I'm digging into what it feels like to start March and how I can implement that in my life. For example, back in July of 2025, I started posting on Threads, testing what kind of content went viral, what I like to post, and how I like to post. And one community I kept seeing over and over and over again was the podcast community. Hosts, podcast managers, people looking to be featured on episodes. Never in my life had I been interested in how podcasting worked, only that I loved listening to podcasts. So why audit what you're curious about? Because it gives you a clue into what your brain is naturally interested in. What is catching your eye? What's giving you stimulus? Maybe it's content, a TV show, a book that you're reading, something that's catching your eye, sparking your interest, and leading your soul to wanting more. If you don't know how to determine your next step, well, doesn't following your curiosity just mean that you're already taking a step into something? So you might as well just keep walking. And then we're going to walk into step 2, determining how to enable your curiosity this month and be determined to fulfill it. Staying on this whole podcasting journey of mine, I met with 2 podcast managers before launching. I didn't even know what a podcast manager was. That was just my first question for them. I knew nothing about production, how to distribute a podcast, cover art, ads, nothing. I determined that the next step is simply learning about the podcast world and would be talking to someone who works in it, someone who helps bring shows to life. It wasn't me following a checklist. It was me just following one step after another. So if you're curious about something, watch content, start asking questions, start chatting with your AI bestie about it. Maybe it's time to take the next step and determine how you can actually implement your curiosity into your daily life. Is it setting a discovery call, connecting via LinkedIn for a coffee, or finally DMing that mutual or creator for some advice? It doesn't always have to be purchasing something either, but it could be subscribing to a software tool that would get you one step closer. Shout out to Suno AI, the first subscription I made for this podcast, because I determined that the first step to a great podcast is great intro and outro music. So find that next point of joy. Starting with intro music probably isn't everyone's first step, but it was the step I determined that would keep me moving forward on the journey. If I had started out with a checklist that said, write a business plan or set up your distribution feed, I promise you would not be listening to Trenches right now because it wasn't the joyful next step for me. And then you need to do step 3, tell someone. Yeah, I know, scary. But like me trying to make excuses for not posting an episode today, thinking nobody would notice, we do it for the one. The kind, invisible peer pressure that comes after telling somebody. I kind of told the whole internet, which at that time was about 300 people on TikTok. I refused to tell my Instagram followers, all 1,800 of them, because those people are actually my friends and family. So yeah, tell strangers on the internet, or tell your mom, or like Lauren Olds on the podcast episode 2 weeks ago, tell your best friends, because strangers on the internet, your mom, and the group chat will support all that you do. And if it doesn't actually happen, they will still love you. So tell someone. I think a fun hack is making a new social media profile, like on Threads or Twitter or X, maybe a burner TikTok account, or even creating a broadcast channel for you to share where not too many eyes are watching, because eyeballs are accountability. For me with this podcast, I started talking about it on Threads. Want to know why? No one I know uses Threads. None of them. So it was free range to ask dumb questions, post 10 times a day, post polls, and have conversations with people that I could have never reached on my Instagram stories, or heaven forbid, in a feed. And once I spent time there telling people, gathering feedback, running polls, y'all don't even know how many polls I ran for the name of this podcast. But by the time I started really talking about it on TikTok to my true audience, I already had a name, a concept, and I could clearly communicate what I was building. Think of it like an outline, then a rough draft, and then your real first draft. And if you're looking for a real accountability buddy, DM me on TikTok. I will happily check on you, your progress, and help you keep building in any way that you need. So if you're out there wondering, stressing, or trying to determine your next step, remember and try these 3 easy steps. 1, audit what you've been curious about recently. Look at your search history, your ChatGPT conversations, your notes app, and your favorited content on socials, and see what's intriguing you right now. Number 2, determine how to implement and enable your curiosity this month and be determined to fulfill it. And step 3, tell someone. Even if it's me, Milan, your founder friend. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. You are quite literally the reason I got out of bed. And thank you for tuning in to your favorite Thursday podcast. I will see you all next week. Bye, crew. Don't forget to follow us on Apple and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Your likes, comments, and ratings make such a big difference in improving the show for each and every crew member. Also, if you're not already, Come and join us on TikTok and Instagram at Trenches the Podcast, where we don't just share clips. We're creating a network of co-builders in the comments. Each post is designed to be a truly impactful addition to your scroll that will actually help you improve your journey in many different ways. Now, since you're already a part of the crew, this is how you step inside. By allocating to the fund on Patreon, you become a stakeholder in Trenches the Podcast and officially join our cap table. With access to private content, early drops, resources, and chats reserved for people truly in the work. Here is where you get the tools and the behind the scenes of what it really takes to get beyond the trenches. Your seat gives you direct access to contribute and make long-term decisions for our crew while finding community with fellow builders. It's time to take your seat at the table. Our mission is simple: make entrepreneurship less lonely. I'll see you in the next episode.